Alright, so as you guys can tell, I pretty much filmed this one right after the last video. I wanted to go ahead and just get this one out while I'm waiting for my oil to heat up so I can start cooking my fries. Um, but, I had just recently reheard an album of mine that I really loved when I was in college. The album is The Album About Nothing by Wale. And I wasn't the biggest Wale fan before that, and even now I'm not the biggest fan. I do like his music, I do, but it's not. I'm not going to consider him in my top 10 list of rappers, which could be a video for another day. But let's go ahead and put that aside for now. I listened to the album one because mainly I was looking for J. Cole music. And that album, I believe, had just came out, and the song that was featured on the Play Store was The Pessimist featuring J. Cole. And I listened to it, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I thought Wale was, on a level, they were on similar levels then. On that song, anyways. So I went ahead and said, well, I like that song. The album's not that expensive. I think it was discounted at the time. I think it was only like $7 for me or something like that. So I was like, you know what? I have a little extra cash. Let me buy the album. So I did. And the album is fantastic. I had a lot of friends who weren't really a fan of it. I think it's a very underrated album. But I really loved it. And the interesting thing about that album, I know it's something Wale has done in the past, is that he's got these clips from Seinfeld, and it starts off like some of the tracks and things like that. This one has that, but it also has like an actual. I guess they met up, and there was actually dialogue between the two of them. Conversation between the two of them. And the Pessimist has that as well. But I think the one that stands out the most is the Matrimonies, where Seinfeld is kind of explaining how marriage is growth. It's a new experience and how that is important. I would play the song, but I don't want any copyright problems, anything like that, or have that part of the song. But I think you should go listen to it if you haven't. I think even if you don't want to listen to the song, just that dialogue is the important part here. The interesting thing about that is just how real it is. You hear a lot of things in music and in rap, and in your head it's like, oh, okay, cool phrasing, whatever. But it doesn't hit you emotionally like, god damn, that is true. 100% that is true. And I love the metaphor that is used by Seinfeld about growth in itself. You can never be prepared for it. And the metaphor he uses is like you're on a roller coaster, and as it's bumping and moving, as it goes up right before that climax, you're just scared, you're tensed, you're preparing for it. But even then, it's not enough. It's never enough because you don't know 100% what to expect out of it. You come into it with your ideas, your beliefs, just like in life, in any new experience. You go into it with some knowledge from what other people have told you, what research you've done, anything. When a couple has their first child, other parents will tell you, that's going to be one of the happiest moments of your life. That moment when you find out and you see that baby for the first time. It's going to be one of the best days of your life. You're not going to stop smiling. That day you For people who have never had a job, that first interview, how stressful it is. And then when you get that call back, and how wonderful that feels. It's like a roller coaster. You go up, 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 you're tense, you're worried. And then once you hit that climax and you come down, you have that rush of adrenaline just hit you as you zoom down straight. It's like all growth. Good, bad, anything. I've been to a couple funerals in my lifetime. The one that hits me the most is the one in which I sadly had to see my brother get, placed into the ground. Even to this day, a couple months past a year, it still hurts. I've been to many funerals before that. None of them hurt like that. Now, I've cried for family that's passed. I've cried for the pets that I've had who were near and dear to my heart. But something that close, something like that, that's powerful, And, some people would say, take your kids to a funeral. They'll get them prepared, kind of, for what, the next step. The child says goodbye to a pet dying, and then the next step is, hey, maybe a grandparent, maybe a close cousin. I don't think it's enough preparation, though, and I don't really think there is for someone that is that close to you. If even when my parents die, it's going to be worse, I imagine. It's going to be heartbreaking. If this is how I feel now, and that's what I can at least expect to an extent, it's going to hurt horribly. And I know that's a negative aspect, but or at least a negative part of life and how you can see that, but it's interesting that, say, if I was to flip it to the case of the wedding that is given in the song, right? That's the one I'm saying, hey, look, you're my one and only. This is where it's at. This is where I made the decision. I want you for the rest of my life. When you're single and you're free, you never think about it that way. And a marriage is its own, just even longer form of growth, because it's not just, hey, I've committed to one person. This is my family now. This is what I have to do for her or him. If you have kids, that's another part of that growth with marriage. No, I guess it can be outside of that as well, but, expected if you're a family, you might want to have kids one day. The combined financials, the buying a house, everything for your partner. It's a very long form of growth, and really you can't be that prepared for it if you've never done any of those events before. If you've had a kid outside of wedlock, then hey, you've already prepared for that. But the second kid is still going to be a very amazing event, and it's still a second child. And you never know, not all childbirths are the same. Some of them could be very hectic. Some of them could be easygoing. Some people don't get sick. Some people get sick the day of the birth. It could be a last minute thing where the child is premature a month and you don't expect it because nothing seemed like that would happen. The cases in which a child has their umbilical cords around their neck. What if the child is too small around the time of their birth? Or what should be their birth, and it's not safe for them to come out yet. It doesn't happen often, but I've heard of cases like that where the child seemed to have wanted to I guess, gestate a little longer. Your first day of driving, you see everything. People have even told me when I first started driving, it's like playing a video game when you're driving in a video game. Well, I didn't see how to do the brakes with my feet. I didn't know that. I pushed B on a button. It's not, I just assumed, hey, as a kid, or when I first started driving, brake, 1 foot down, and it dramatically stops that car. And that's not what you want to do. You want to slowly level it out. Same thing with the accelerator, unless you're speeding, I guess. You don't, when you're taking off. That's not something you get in a video game. Unless you have one of those fancy setups, but not everyone does. The first time you do anything, it's gonna have, the first time you have sex. A lot of people are gonna be nervous about if they're doing it right. I definitely was. The entire time I was like, is she enjoying this? Am I doing something wrong? And you know what? At the end of the day, it went well for both of us, but not everyone's going to have that experience. I've had good, bad, neutral experiences with that. It's like everything in life. You can try your best to be prepared. At least so you don't get hurt too much. But like all form of growth, you can only be prepared so much, and in reality, it may not be anywhere close to what the actual outcome is. Like Seinfeld says in that, you can't really prepare for growth because you've never had that. You never experienced that. It's going to be 100% new. Schools will teach you about interviews and things like that, and they might not go well. And even though you think you've done everything perfect, you can have your social network help you out with a child. Everything that is needed for childbirth. But it's another thing when you have the child and you're raising them. I don't know that feeling. What about on the other side? Person first time trying to fly a plane. It's not the same as a car. It's not the same as a boat. Some people get real bad anxiety. Some people don't like being that elevated. Some people get the windows, they think it's going to be a beautiful view, and then they see, and then they start freaking out because you're too high in the sky. There's never enough preparation. Growth is going to be new. Sometimes it's going to be wonderful. Sometimes it's going to be difficult. But at the end of the day, all growth is a lesson. Even a hard lesson. But it's one of the best things about life. It's one of the things we should continue. It's one of the things we should go with. And I think it's one of the things that's worth living in life. It's the experiences. It's every moment that you have. If you've had love and you lost it, you know the pain that gives. But you move on. Maybe emotionally you'll never have something as powerful as your first love. But your next love, or your next love, or whoever you remain with, if you choose to remain with someone after that, gives you more. Not just emotionally, but mentally, socially. All that is life. It's what makes life beautiful. Especially when there's a lot of people out there that are hurting, not sure what to do with life, not sure where to go with it. I just say experience life for what it is. A lot of new experiences, a lot of old ones. But there's always something worthy to experience. But that's enough about that. Y'all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.